Wansley. And the conversations, the talk about training camp and bed check and everything else are the conversations are very, very special to me. And I came from the FBI, I came from the outside, and the issue of bed checks and whatever were very, very strange to me. I thought, wait a minute, you know, these are grown men, they're supposed to be in. Why are we doing bed checks? Well, in short order, I found out. But I would like to say that I'm really privileged and honored. It's such a pleasure to be here to pay tribute to a very, very special man who has had such an impact on so many lives, a very positive impact, and that was my life. Coach, I'd like to tell folks a story about one particular situation in Thousand Oaks when you were talking about, or we were mentioning earlier, the bed checks and what have you. And one night, and I used to love the bed check situation with the Coach Myers because it was always an adventure. One night after bed check, we were at the dorm on the balcony just eating some ice cream, and it was a very moonlit night. And those of you that remember Thousand Oaks, the open field, and there were a lot of trees out there, but there were skinny trees, very, very skinny trees. And we were up there, and we saw in this very, 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 very light night, and we saw and the player will remain nameless, okay? However, we saw a very huge man in a suit. Well, we couldn't tell that he was in a suit at the time, but he was skulking across the open field from tree to tree. Very narrow trees, okay? Well, he hung over quite a bit. And it was like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon because he's running across the field and he's skulking, and he'd stop at a tree and he'd look around. And Jim had this huge spotlight. And we were watching, and he said, look at that. And the guy's going boom, 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 you know, tree to tree. And I said, well, how far are you going to let him go, Coach? And he said, well, we'll give him a couple more trees. And he got to a point where I guess Jim felt, well, that's enough. And he hit the player with the spotlight. And the old comment about the deer in the headlights was so true because the player froze, and Jim said, what the are you doing? And he says, oh, Coach, thank you. I must have been sleepwalking. Well, anyway, that's just one of the many, and I'm so proud and so pleased to be a part of this because, Coach, you made such a phenomenal difference in my life, and I truly enjoyed working with you, being guided by you, and I thank you so much, and thank you so much for being a part of this.